Very good. So we're recording this lovely small org affinity group presentation today. We're so excited to have a guest speaker, Miss Rachel Bearbower. She's going to be with us in just a minute. But before we get started, I think you all know who I am. I don't need to say it. I know all the names on the screen, so you know I'm Wendy Himes, and we're so excited for another edition of Small Org Affinity Group. Small but mighty. Woo-hoo. All right, I'm being silly, but anyway, we are thrilled to have you join us today, and I'm going to just thank Deborah Gold for getting such amazing speakers for us to enjoy on these topics, and I'm really looking forward to Rachel's presentation. We'll have about a 40-minute presentation by Rachel and a Q&A. And then we'll have a little bit of time for something special at the end. I'll let Deborah tell you a little bit more about that. Go ahead, Deborah.
Yes, so welcome everybody. It's great to see everyone again. I don't know if you feel as I do, where does 2 months go? I don't know. Where does even a week go? Like, I'm sure Rachel will talk about them. But every Friday lately, I just say, wait, it's Friday again? But maybe some of you feel like that on Monday mornings. So before I introduce Rachel, I thought what we could do when we say goodbye to Rachel today, spend a little time just celebrating 2021. There's lots to be concerned about, lots to be worried about, everything from new variants to close downs and all the rest, and travel. But I thought it might be good to reflect back instead and think about everyone. Just think about one thing that you know you would love to celebrate with us today. Tell us something that great that happened in your organization, that or for you within your organization that you want to celebrate. And so we'll just do a go round, have a little early New Year's celebration, end of year wrap up for the group. So I'm really excited to have Rachel Bearbower with us here today. I first heard Rachel heard about Rachel by hearing Rachel, listening to her on the Small Nonprofit podcast, which is one I highly recommend if you're not already listening to it. She was being interviewed by Cindy, who was with us at our last meeting. And I was so impressed with Rachel's practical down-to-earth tips for managing while wearing a lot of different hats. In fact, it might have been one of the earliest episodes I ever heard, because the title was exactly how it feels to be the executive director of a small nonprofit. The wearing of many hats was something I started talking about when I first took the job. I'd never experienced anything quite like that before. Rachel is a small shop and nonprofit coach living in rural Iowa. She's the founder of the Productive Executive Director, a community of small shop executive directors who are changing the world one system at a time. Her job is to help EDs create structure plus systems, create a manageable plan, and confidence, create their own confidence in their ability to show up each day to move our mission forward with passion and efficiency. After founding a nonprofit herself, she realized she had no idea what she was doing. Does that sound familiar? Like many of us, she says she compared herself to other executive directors, implemented strategies with little rhyme or reason, felt a constant swirl of to-dos, unclear paths, and constantly second-guessed herself. She says she kept trying to implement the strategies of large organizations whose best practices didn't fit her small org. She longed for clarity, structure, and a solid plan. Rachel believes in taking risks, large Post-it notes, that done is better than perfect, that creating systems allows you to work smarter, not harder, and despite the hard work, that being passionate about your work each and every day is what's going to get you there. I'm so looking forward to her presentation today. Take it away, Rachel. That was a quick adaptation of your LinkedIn.
I'm very impressed, so thank you. Well, goodness, I am so excited to be here. Let me get things a little organized here. But first thing that I would love, do you see where it says please share and a book? Is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. That's exactly what I want you to see. So let's have some fun here. And in the chat, I would love to know what is your role in the organization? I think most of you are EDs, but what is your role? And what is your superpower as a leader? All right, I'm excited to see these come in here. Well, Deb's superpower is creativity. And Christy is an ability to talk to anyone about anything or into anything. Oh, that is a very good superpower. Jeannie is keeping my inbox so that I don't have to scroll. Love it. Christopher says making people comfortable. That's amazing. I love that. Karen's superpower is compassion. These are fantastic. We're gonna dig into this a little bit more, but okay, let's get this party started. So let's see here. Did the slide just change for you?
Yes.
And you see the title?
Yes, 3 ways to maximize your productivity in 2022.
Excellent. Okay, Canva's been a little, or my presentation software has been a little wonky, so just making sure. Well, I can already tell that this is a really cool group, and it's so awesome that you are all executive directors, because that is my jam. And yeah, so we are going to talk about the 3 ways to really maximize your productivity in 2022. So this slide is a photo of me. I have brown hair, glasses. I'm of German and Irish descent, and I think I have a pretty cute nose. So, you know, for what it's worth. Okay, so the next slide you're looking at is me sharing my Instagram account, which is at Small Shop Strategies. So if we have never met before, hello. My name is Rachel Bearbower. As Deborah mentioned, I am a former ED. I'm a founder. I'm a founding ED, and I love being able to speak to EDs, because that's, you know, that's what I've done. But people are actually now a little more familiar with me, as I am the founder of Small Shop Strategies and the Productive ED, which is that community of executive directors. I do have a podcast as well that is called The Productive Executive Director. So if you are a podcast listener, definitely go take a listen. They're short little episodes, but I'm also a storyteller, and I express what the point I'm trying to get across best through story, probably a little humor, a lot of humor. And I've had some ups and downs and crazy stories. So I am really looking forward to being able to share those with you today. So, all right, so this slide says how to make the most out of the next 50 minutes. So if you are multitasking, I want you to close out the tabs. I know I am guilty of it too. I want you to put your phone down and close out that email. I want you to really give yourself the next hour or so to really get the most out of this presentation. And I'm going to do my best to check the chat, but if you have questions, you know, save them for the end. I will definitely come back to them. And I've also asked Deb to pull them, or Wendy is going to pull them for me. So if you do, you know, you want to put it in there so you don't forget, we will make sure that we find that. So, okay, so this slide is a GIF of Gabrielle Union from the movie Bring It On, with the words "Bring It." All right, I want to make sure that everyone is ready. I know we've got some people popping in, so can you just let me know that you are you have closed out that email, closed out those extra tabs, and you are ready, and put ready into the chat. Thumbs up and ready. Love it. Sweet. All right, we got a pumped up group here. All right, so now can you let me know that you are not going to feel guilty and really be kind to yourself for taking just 1 hour to invest in your professional development? Okay, bring it into the chat. Totally giving myself this hour. Awesome. So good. Denny says, bring it in all capitals. Okay. So this slide has a background that resembles an elementary school picture and a can of Pamplemousse LaCroix that says, hold please. All right. I actually want to really start by giving you kudos for taking time today and investing in yourself. I do know what it's like, firsthand, what it's like to be in a small shop, and you don't have a lot of time. So carving out the space for professional development is a big deal. And I just want to thank you for trusting me with that time. It also means a lot to me, and for just giving me the chance to share a bit of the work that I do within the productive ED community, because working with executive directors is the work that I was meant to do. And I love being able to connect with you who are on the front lines changing the world. So right now we're in an awkward space. Okay, we're coming off the heels. I mean, I guess I can't actually say that. We had a year like 2020, and some said, didn't think they could top 2020. And then 2021 was like, here, hold my LaCroix. I don't know about you, but I really do feel like 2021 gave us a run for our money. And personally and professionally, we've had two of the hardest years where we have had to change and pivot and adapt and Zoom and virtual and in-person and hybrid. And that's a lot. And that constant upheaval is exhausting. And it's not simple. It's hard to navigate. It's definitely not streamlined. And there's really no rule book or handbook or guidebook to navigate a pandemic. So this slide is an image of Harry Potter. So this is the thing. There is something about executive directors and nonprofit leaders that you are truly, truly magical people. I really do think that most of you are wizards. You can just make things happen. You can fix things that can't be fixed. You can change things that can't be changed. But what this also does is this is how you burn out. And my guess is that right now, and after a year like 2020 and a year like 2021, you're feeling, well, moving to the next slide, which is a gif of Roy Kent from the show Ted Lasso with the words, "That's gotta sting." And for anyone who has watched Ted Lasso, you know that Roy Kent typically expresses himself through a lot of profanity. But this gif felt appropriate for a professional setting. So that's the one that you're getting. But profanity or not, my guess is that you're pretty tired. And there might be some explicit words in there too. So in the chat, just let me know if you are if you're nodding your head, if this is resonating, am I on the right track here? Seeing nothing, so maybe I've just missed the ball here. Yes, need a vacation. Absolutely. One that involves going away. I love it. Right track, oncoming train. Yeah, I feel that. Exhausted at the core, but still keep digging in. Yeah, so you guys get it. All right, so this slide reads that I think you should have the tools and resources you need to be successful. So after the last 18 months, 20 months, I think it's 20 months, 22 months. Anyway, COVID, start of COVID. Let's go with 24 months. Let's call it 24 months. I have worked with over 200 organizations, and I'm seeing one big fundamental mistake over and over again. Here's the thing. I don't think it should be that hard to run a profitable and functional organization. I think that you should have the tools and the resources that you need to be successful. Now, don't mince my words here, because being an ED and running an organization is really hard and it's a lot of work. But with the way our organizations seem to function and the way that we get things done and how we get our funding, it's confusing and it's messy and it's siloed, and there's no sharing of information, and it's way harder than it needs to be. And you guys are fortunate because you have this group. The systems that you are working in, they are old school methods that have been taught over and over, and they're flawed. And as you likely know better than me, there's an extreme lack of accessibility, and it's often based on stale, we've always done it this way, or some dude learned it from some dude who learned it from some dude who learned it from George Washington. But my point is that it's time to start thinking outside of the box, or outside of the banana suit, which I'll explain in just a moment. But I want you to know that I've made all the same mistakes. I have fumbled my way through it all. But just know that I've been there too. All right, so this slide is the coffee house couch from the TV show Friends, with the words, "the one where she learned a big lesson." Okay, so first year as an ED, I had a committee. They were do-gooders, like just good people. And they convinced me that an event was the only way we were going to raise any money. So thankfully I had some experience. Before being an ED, I was actually an event planner, corporate, then weddings and nonprofit galas. My last gala at my previous job had completely done me in, so I swore off galas forever. If you have healthy boundaries around galas though, like I totally applaud you. I did not. So this event was for the organization I founded, and it was a run-a-thon, okay? And we were scrappy, so it was nothing fancy. And I'm gonna skip all the gory details of why it was so bad and just like give you the Reader's Digest version. But it was a couple things. So number one, there was no real goal of what we were trying to achieve. Raise money, give us money, we need money. That was our goal, which, yes, that's the underlying goal, of course, but like, what were we doing, right? So it was hard to articulate what really was going to happen. We did it in our off season, so there was little engagement from our beneficiaries. Our sponsorship packet was something that I pulled off the internet and was so run-of-the-mill and boring that there was zero investment from sponsors. This is the worst one. It's so bad, so bad. It was 12 hours long. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was it was brutal. I think we ended up like it decreased to about 6 hours, but oh my gosh. Okay. Here's what happened. I fell into the trap of trying to take everyone's opinion, make everyone happy, and solve every problem. I know better than that. And what happened is I ended up with a hot mess of a disaster on treadmills, and I think we raised maybe $1,500. That was a lesson. All right, so this slide is me as an executive director with a pink hat on, holding a microphone and wearing a banana suit. So year 2 was different. Thank goodness. I have a few moments of being an executive director that make me really, really proud. But this day and this event was one of my proudest and most fun days as an AD. You see, I always knew there was a better way of raising money than spending a lot of money to raise a lot of money, right? And mind you, this was before knowing anything about fundraising. And thank goodness you had a presentation with Cindy, because she is the master when it comes to fundraising. And I was just going purely on gut instinct. So, you know, never know what you're going to get. But what I did know was I knew communications and messaging. And even though I had thrown like all of that knowledge out the door the year before to please everyone, I knew communications and marketing. So by making a lot of changes, like reducing the event from 12 hours to 1 hour, and, you know, doing it during our season, using peer-to-peer method, another term I didn't actually know, but really getting clear on what we were doing, which was to raise funds to give scholarships to girls within the program. And this event totally turned around. But what made the biggest difference was how it was communicated. There was a very clear goal in mind of what we were trying to do. The core messages were articulated over and over and over. And everyone from the coaches, the board members, the staff, and even the girls knew exactly what to say when somebody would walk up and be like, so what's going on here? Which totally happened because the track we were using was double booked and a soccer team showed up and all the parents were like, so what are you guys doing? Some even donated. It was awesome. It was a great day. It was a great day. And we raised over $18,000 at that event. The cost of the event was $250. Most of it was spent on pizza. So this is someone who thought outside of the banana suit. Okay, now this slides back to Harry Potter. I didn't have a chance to send this out ahead of time, but I do have a document for you to grab and print, and you can print it as many times as you would like. It's just a one-pager to really go through what we're working on. You absolutely don't need it for this presentation, but it's pretty cool. So if you go to smallshopstrategies.com/commit to 90, you'll be able to access it. So I will send you an email. You also get to download it on the page. But really, it'll give you an outline. So now, for just a moment, I want to circle back to the fact that I think you're all wizards. Real quick, I want to add that link to the chat though.
Wendy will send everything out, Rachel. Don't worry.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Circling back to being a wizard, because I think you are. And it's not because I listen to obscene amounts of Harry Potter on audiobook, but I want to know when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up? So put that in the chat. What did you want to be when you grew up? Because I think being a wizard sounds really fun. An actress. I can totally see that. Teacher, musician, another teacher from Christy. I'll take a sip of water while these are coming in. An artist or a musician. Love that.
Which she is.
A stand-up comic. Karen, that's amazing. These are incredible. All right. Now, this slide is a photo of an old news clipping, circa 1998, of a boy with short hair and frosted tips. He's sitting at a desk with Senator Betty Sheldon standing behind him. So this is the photo that you get when you are a page in the Senate of the Washington State Legislature. This is my friend Chad. Be honest, we looked very similar. I had short hair, frosted tips. It was a look, that's for sure. You know, experimenting as a kid, as a teenager, but he got his picture in the newspaper and I didn't. So that's why we're using that one. But before I go on, did anyone grow up wanting to ask people for money? Is that like a thing? Did anyone? I'm going to do this all day. I got questions all day long for y'all. Don't you worry. Of course, I had no idea I'd be here now. I know, do any of us end up where we thought we would end up?
Does anybody ever say, I want to be an executive director when I grow up?
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a job. Okay, I'm going to keep going. But when I was young, the ripe old age of 14, I wanted to be a senator. Sometimes I still do. But I thought they helped people. And that is really what was important to me. So this slide is a photo of a heart covered in armor. And through a lot of getting it wrong and a lot of things right over the last couple decades, I've learned that being a leader takes work and practice and being willing to listen, the humility to fail and get right back up and try again. But there's also a connection between each of those professions that you just listed and being the leader that you are right now. They both include those same values of compassion and empathy and strength and resilience and focus and passion. Those of you who wanted to be musicians, like focus and passion is huge and is incredibly important. Bob, I'm going to put you on mute real quick because I'm getting a little bit of feedback. You're all good. Okay. These are the attributes of a great leader. These are the attributes I know that you have inside of you. And being in the nonprofit sector requires a little bit of extra magic, like that magic I was talking about before. But here, like I also wish before being an ED, I wish I knew how messy and how hard it was and how lonely I would be as a leader and how I was going to constantly be juggling 17 priorities, 9 deadlines, a last minute committee meeting while riding a unicycle in rush hour traffic in Seattle, not in Iowa. So that's a big difference. I wish I had known that I was going to work for 3 years, full time for 3 years with 2 full-time jobs, my paying job, my full-time job as an ED, before I was going to be able to make the switch. You also really can't plan when a professional photographer is going to show up at your event and you, pictures of you dressed up as in a banana suit will live on the internet for all of eternity. So a lot of things out of your control. This slide is, it's a photo of 2 yellow sticky notes side by side. The first one with the words written by a child that say, "Thank you for a wonderful 2 seasons. I hurt you. I'll never forget you, Lily." The second is 2 stick figure girls holding hands. In the 6 years that I was an executive director, hundreds of girls went through the program and their lives were transformed. So I mentioned that I had, excuse me, I mentioned that I had some really proud moments of being an executive director. Another one was at a 5K, and we were waiting for the last girl to finish. I had this rule that you couldn't clean up until all the girls were across the finish line. And so everyone was gathered around and we were hooting and hollering and, and she was rounding the corner. And, anyone who has ever been to a race knows that it's, super loud and fun and, everyone is going wild. And I was standing there with her mom and her mom turns to me and she had terror in her eyes, which that was a little shocking. What I didn't realize is that her daughter had sensory issues or sensory sensitivities, and that the noise would actually be really upsetting for her. So in seconds, with the help of a few volunteers, the finish line fell silent. It was like a wave. And Lizzie crossed the finish line to hundreds of people giving her jazz hands and thumbs up. Now, I loved the work that I did, but it was hard. And it was hard from that first day all the way to the last day. So when I say I know this work, I know it because I have been there and I have been you. So this slide is a diagram of the Enneagram, which is a model of the human psyche, which is a principle, I totally stole this from Wikipedia, which is principally understood and taught by a typology of 9 interconnected personality types. So does anyone know their Enneagram? Does anyone? My guess is that I'm sitting here with a bunch of Enneagram 2s, maybe some 3s, 2-wing 3s, 3-wing 2s, maybe some 8s. Let's see. Does anyone know? 3. Daniel's a 3. Yep. See, called it. Who else? Who else we got in here? Pretty sure I'm a 3. Yep. If you don't know the Enneagram, definitely go check it out. It's super fun. But regardless of your Enneagram, I know that you want to help. Number 2 is the helper. 3 is the leader. You are committed to the greater good and you go above and beyond. Love it. We've got some 2 3s. Yeah. So I know that. I know you go above and beyond. You also might be a bit of a people pleaser, overachiever, a little bit controlling, perfectionist, definitely optimistic. You're in it to win it. You're focused, you're driven, and sometimes a little bit of get out of my way. How am I doing here? Anyone resonate with any of those qualities? I'm seeing some yeses and I'm seeing some exclamation marks. Yeah. Listen, I get it. I just described myself, so there's nothing new here. For those wondering, I'm a 3-wing too. Recently, I got a few more. That's a small shop. Lots more control than in a large org. Absolutely. So recently, my boyfriend, and if you follow me on social, you'll see that I refer to him as BFM, boyfriend Mike. So BFM was a little frustrated with me about something, and he's a 1-wing 9, and he said, "It's like you just looked at me and did what you wanted anyway." And my reply was, yeah, have you met me? So, well, he and my parents are probably starting a support group. Get back to the characteristics, because these are the characteristics that got me into trouble with my first runathon, and they are definitely why you are so exhausted and burned out. So here it is. Here's your big mistake. You are juggling too many balls. You are always in crisis mode. You are not being intentional about your decision making, and your do whatever it takes strategy, it's not working, and it's actually making you implode. And believe me, I know that this comes from a good place, but it's not working. So this slide is back to Harry Potter. You might be leaning back in your chair, like, so signed up to, like, learn some goals and productivity training. Why the heck is she talking about all this? I get it. Let me tell you, okay? There's a point to all of this. That part is coming next. That's the easy part. What you are about to do, set the goals, simplify the message, set the vision. Those are the things we're going to work on today. And then you have to go back and sell it to your staff, to your board, to your volunteers. You have to step up and be the leader. You have to set the example. You have to reassure everyone that this is going to work and this is the right direction to move in. Even if, and sometimes in spite of, you feel like, you have that little twinge, bottom of your stomach, just this could go okay, or this could actually be a complete dumpster fire. You do that because you are the leader, and you are taking intentional risks. That is part of the job. It's not an easy part, not even a little bit. That's what the leader does, and you have to be brave and bold and confident. You have to be a wizard. Okay, so let's get into this. All right, so this slide is a gold piggy bank with coins scattered around. So these last 20, sorry, I'm a leg crosser, so I'm gonna have to switch here. These last 20 or so days of the year have a huge emphasis on raising money, right? I mean, I'm gonna make a big, huge assumption, and I assume you guys know this. So not only will these next 3 things help you, they will help you as you move into planning for the new year. They are fundamental practices that you can implement right now. So don't be afraid to wait. You don't have to wait until next year. These can be implemented right now. But what I see a lot of organizations do is you try to put too much out there, end up overwhelming your audiences, and especially your donors. you are doing a whole lot of extra work that does not lead to being very productive or efficient with your time. And you're likely focused in so many different places that you're not actually doing anything very well. I'm not sure if that feels accurate right now, maybe this time of year especially. Go ahead and share in the chat that, how you feeling about this year end. I want to know where you're sitting. Christy, you couldn't be more spot on. It's like I know you guys. I think I've been there. All right, so this next section is where I'm really going to show you how to narrow in your focus, simplify your goals, get really clear about your messaging so that you can be laser focused in what you're trying to accomplish. Okay. All right, so these next few slides are all words and statements, and this slide gives you a website address. If you didn't grab that worksheet before, you can do it now. Go to smallshopstrategies.com/commit-to-90. I'm just checking the chat here really quick. I'm seeing some stuff pop in. Why is it not opening? There we go. Denise, I feel good about it. We have clear defined goals and it's exciting to see our path on how we're going to get it done. I love that, Denise. That is such a good feeling. So good. Okay. So this slide says how to write an impact statement. So if you don't have a pen or a paper, this might be a good time to grab it. The first thing that I am going to show you how to do is write an impact statement. Why do we have to do that? We have a mission statement. No, this is not your mission statement. This is for when somebody says, so what do you do? Okay, you have approximately 3 seconds to get their attention. I know that we're going to start entering the world of, being in person. It's going to become a thing here, hopefully, eventually. And you might go to networking events or the theater and somebody's going to be like, so what do you do? Got to have an answer quickly. Okay. Or you can be like Rachel, past Rachel, and provide them a 4-minute monologue that results in absolutely nothing, or someone saying, wow, I can tell you're really passionate, as they back away slowly and start running. Okay, don't be like me. So let's dig in here. Got that pen and paper? So first, let's see. It's really, I'm glad we're on the same page here, Deb. Okay, so a few examples here, and these examples are written on the slide. So first one is Operation Smile, gives the gift of a smile. Make a wish, making wishes happen, one wish at a time. WaterAid, provides clean water. Now, do these organizations all do a lot of different things? They sure do. But if they were going to tell you every single thing that they did, talk about every single one of them, you would get totally overwhelmed. It's like when you go to a restaurant and you've got like the menu and it's 7 pages long and it just keeps going. You're like, I have no idea what to order. Do you have French fries? Like, kind of like that. So what I want you to do is think about and identify the part of your organization that resonates most with donors. Okay, so let me give you an example. This is actually a lesson that came from my mom. Thanks, Mom. I always thought that the fact that we gave scholarships was like the coolest thing that we did in our organization. And it really was. It was very, very cool. But once I wrote an appeal about how one girl didn't have shoes and that we were raising money to be able to buy a team shoes to run in, and my mom donated, and she donated the most she had ever donated to any of my appeals. And I asked her for money all the time. And then every Sunday dinner, she would ask, so all the girls have shoes? Literally every single dinner she would ask. Okay, so while I thought that the scholarships is where I should focus, it was actually the shoes. It was the shoes that my donors were passionate about. It was a tangible need, very explicit how they could support. And if you don't know what your donors are passionate about and what they want to support, then I recommend calling a few of them, talking to them. All right, so here is how we are going to create your statement. Okay, you're going to walk away with it. It might be a little messy, it'll be a first draft, but that's okay. So grab a pen or a Google Doc. And this is, like I said, it's going to take some finessing. So just know that this is going to be a rough draft. It's not, it's not your final draft by any means. So what's going to happen is I am going to ask you 4 questions, which are going to be on the slides. There's going to be a series of slides. And your answer needs to be 2 to 4 words. And that's it. Okay. 2 to 4 words. Everyone ready? All right. This slide says, what makes you different? So that's question 1. There is something special about your organization that makes you stand out and makes you special. This is something that no one else can do. So I will use an example of an organization that I've been working with for the last couple of years. It's an arts organization, and what makes them different is they give free art supplies to their artists to create these big linoleum prints. Okay, so what is it that makes you different? Now, clearly you are in a group with other organizations that do things very similarly, but there's something, do something similar, but there is something about you that makes you different. And now you have to explain that in 2 to 4 words. We are creating 1 sentence, so it can't be 4 sentences. It's got to be 2 to 4 words. Okay, I'm going to go through this probably faster than you would like, but if you grabbed the worksheet, you also get access to all of the lessons so that you can go back and look at them, because I get it. Okay, so what I wrote was free art supplies. Okay. Now, moving on to question number 2. Question number 2 is, what problem are you trying to solve? This is a pretty fundamental question. But what problem is your organization trying to solve? Like, why do you exist? Why do you exist? All right, for the example of the art organization, they use steamrollers to print the artwork. It's such a cool organization. But yeah, they use steamrollers to print this art. So I wrote down steamroller street art. All right, question number 3. What will the beneficiaries get by engaging with you? So what will the beneficiary get by engaging with you, your product, your service, your program? Like, what is it that they're going to get? And I want you to think of something maybe that's more tangible. Like, what you actually do. Like if you provide something, or you walk away with a bag of groceries, like that tangible thing that you actually do, you're to write that down. Again, 2 to 4 words. Okay, so the arts organization, that they create these incredible one-of-a-kind artwork that is printed in the streets of downtown Bremerton. Anyone who knows Bremerton, it's in Washington State. It's my hometown, so go Bremerton. But here's what I wrote for this question. One-of-a-kind artwork. That's what you get. Like that is the actual thing that we are creating and doing. All right, this is the last question. How will your beneficiaries' lives be changed because they have interacted with your organization? So this is more intangible. Like, what are they going to, like, not what they're going to walk away with, but like, who are they going to be after working with you? Like being more confident, for asking for what they need, or a healthier outlook on life. Okay, so for this arts organization, the answer, it was pretty simple. It's, it's creating a thriving arts community in Bremerton. Okay. Before we put this all together, how did it feel to answer those questions? Was this hard? Are we like 4 paragraphs in? Were you able to simplify this? Give me a little, let me know how it's going.
Rachel, I don't know if you saw, you got a couple of thumbs up.
Oh, excellent. I didn't see that because I'm in presentation mode. So thanks for telling me that. Glad it's not a silent room. That's awkward. Thank you. Okay, so let's put this all together. Oh, obviously, thriving arts community. Okay, so now this is like 1,000 times easier to show you, like with paper and pen, and like be able to sketch it out. But obviously we are virtual, and that does, not able to do that. But these take time to perfect. So just know that this is your rough draft. Okay, so this is what the slide says. Your gift will provide free art supplies to an artist to create steamroller street art and one-of-a-kind artwork while building a thriving arts community. Okay, so I took those 4 questions and those words, I added, some words in there to make it an actual sentence. But that's what you're trying to do. You are trying to create that one sentence that when somebody's like, so what is it that you do? And you're just like, I run a, well, let's say the person says, so how can I be involved? And say, well, let me tell you, your gift will provide free art supplies to an artist to create steamroller street art and one-of-a-kind artwork while also building a thriving arts community. How cool is that? Because the goal of your impact statement is for people to go, well, tell me a little bit more about that. Okay, so that's your goal. Now, this is incredibly important because you have to know, you have to be able to sell your organization. You have to be able to let people in on what you are doing. Because if you are holding it all in and people don't know what you're doing, you're not going to get very far. And I know that that's not actually what you're trying to do, but you have to, so often I see organizations completely overwhelm those that are interested in helping because you don't have a clear message of how you can make that impact. All right, so they're starting to come in. So your gift will provide independence and inclusion to people who are blind with additional needs, through customized programs and services. That's perfect. That is awesome. So good.
I found that sometimes you have to shuffle
Yeah.
the answers because you asked a question that I had just thought I answered. I moved the answer and then I got room for another. It was cool. It's a very cool exercise. Very cool.
Good. I am glad. Yeah, feel free to share in the chat your statement. I'm going to keep moving just in the interest of time so that we can get through these other ones, but I would love to see what you came up with. Okay, so this slide says setting goals, and I want you to be really, really realistic in setting your goals. So, I mean, the reason for that is then you can, check things off your to-do list, and it's easier every single day if your goals are realistic, right? I know we talk about the SMART goals, and yeah, that's important, but I mean, I don't want to discredit that. That's very, very, very important, but they also have to be realistic. So now this is one of my most favorite lessons in the productive ED, and it is all about goal setting, and it's the lesson that always seems to blow people's minds. Okay, and it's also so simple, but you got to be open to change a little bit. I might blow your mind a little bit. Okay, so here's the fundamental idea, and this slide says set fewer goals with shorter time frames and you will accomplish more. Now, your big goals, it is absolutely okay to have big goals. Keep those as your North Star. But in the everyday, set fewer goals with shorter timelines and you will accomplish more. So in the Productive ED, I teach setting your goals in 90-day increments. This might be different than what, a lot of people set annual goals, but I recommend 90-day increments. And then you can take them and break them down month by month, week by week. Think about it. If you were even a year ago, what month are we in? December? Okay, let's go back to April of this year. We were planning a year in advance and it was April 2020 and we're trying to plan for April 2021. Like every plan we had in place would have been blown up. Okay. So 90-day increments, and this will allow you to know exactly what you're working towards and get everything checked off your to-do list without feeling like you are forgetting something. Now, one of the EDs in my program, Michelle, she sends me her 90-day plan each quarter. She's just ruthless. She's amazing. Like, girl is on fire. The reason I suggest this, it goes back to what I said in those first 2 minutes of this workshop, is sometimes plans and priorities change and you have to pivot fast. Now, I imagine that some of you are looking at the screen, you're looking at me and being like, listen, we have way too much going on to whittle it down to just a few goals. I'm wondering if anyone is saying that in their head. But that is my point. If you have way too much going on to whittle it down, you have way too much going on. this is why you are struggling. All right, so this slide is a woman juggling a house, a clock, a 90s cell phone, toothpaste, maybe, and a laptop. It's very clip arty. So remember how I said that you are juggling all of those balls? Yeah. And you're constantly in crisis mode? Yeah. Okay, so Joan Gary had a great quote, and it was something along the lines of, you will always be juggling too many balls. But what you have to learn is how to be intentional about which balls to drop. Okay, you're always going to have deadlines and priorities and last minute committee meetings, but which one is not going to happen? Okay, so I'm going to add to that. And I'm going to remind you that some of the balls that you are juggling, some are glass and some are plastic. Okay. So you are having to make very intentional choices and decisions every single day. Something's going to drop. Which one is it going to be? So that's what I'm asking you to do. I want you to be intentional about what ball you are going to drop over the next 90 days. What can you do? What can you actually do? Right. So,
Wendy, you're not allowed to drop this small org affinity group.
No worries.
all right. So, what I want you to do is I want you to pick one, at least one, but no more than 3 goals for the next 3 months. Now, during December, 4th quarter, in general, I ideally suggest having 1 fundraising goal, 1 program goal, and that's it to wrap up the year. But since I know that we're also talking about going into 2022, you know, let's pick 3 goals. So remember, 3 goals, 90-day increments, having less goals, shorter timeframes, and you are going to get more done. Okay, so moving right along to one of my favorite lessons, which is simplifying your messaging. Okay, so this slide says creating core messages that align with your goals. Now, this is one of those things that I teach in, I have a content planning workshop that is always an aha moment for people. And I love, because I love when things make sense. So people need to hear a message somewhere between 5 and 12 times before they take an action. Okay, I want you to think about like the ads that you see on Facebook or Instagram, and you don't need that fluffy dog bed the first time you scroll by it. But then the 10th, 11th, 12th time, you're like, I feel like my dogs do need a new dog bed. And by that 12th time that you are making a decision, you regret it horribly because that fluffy dog bed is actually terrible, but you made that decision because you saw it so many times. Okay. So if you are hoping that a donor is going to give to you at year end, or if you have an event or any part of the program that you are doing, you probably need to make sure that you've got a few ways of reminding them that they need to donate. But what happens, here's what happens. I know you. Here's what happens. We try and cram all of the messages about all the things into all the platforms, and then nobody takes action on anything. You're like, I sent out an email. Why did no one read it? I posted on Facebook. Why did no one say anything? There's too many messages out there. All right, so this is what I want you to try, okay? I want you to create 5 core messages that you repeat over and over and over again in your emails, on your social media, newsletters, that your staff, your board, your volunteers, they know exactly what you are focused on. Don't keep those core messages inside. No. Tell them to everyone. Everyone should know the core messages. Just like at the runathon, when all those parents showed up because we were double booked for a soccer game and for our event, every single person knew what to say when, hey, what's going on here? Because they knew the core messages. Okay. Right, so this slide is a logo of a drawing of a dog with Shep Shelter and the tagline, their home until they find your home. Okay, this is the example I used from the content planning workshop, and this is Shep Shelter. It's a dog rescue who's looking to launch a dog walking program by the end of the year, and these are their 5 core messages. Now, Shep Shelter is not real. Shep is laying under my feet. He is a rescue dog, but I completely made up this organization. If he knew about online presentations, I bet he'd be impressed. Okay, let's dive into the 5 core messages. So this slide includes the 5 core messages. So I'm just going to read through them. So $12 provides 2 extra walks per day. Okay, so this is our offer. This is our fundraising offer that helps your donors really understand the impact that they can make with their gift. Okay, so that's really important for this time of year. Okay, so $12 provides 2 extra walks per day. Now, remember, they are trying to raise money for a dog walking program. So this makes a lot of sense. It's very clear. Donors get it. It's urgent. Okay. Now, another core message is walks multiple times a day reduces stress. Important if you are creating a dog walking program. Remember to bring your dogs inside during inclement weather. You know, I know somebody was in Wisconsin saying it was super cold. You see that? Wisconsin. I'm new to the Midwest, so I'm really trying to pick up the language here. Let me know if I got that right. But bring your dogs in. That's just a general message. Okay, if you're running a dog shelter, like that's something that you would want to tell the people following you. Okay. The next core message is you can become a dog walker, volunteer today. Call to action right there. Gonna create this dog walking volunteer program. Got to have some volunteers. And then spay and neuter clinics will be available twice a month through the end of the year. That's also something really good to know because that is one of your programs and it happens on a regular basis. Okay, so these are the 5 core messages. And there's a million and one ways that you can use these messages through stories, different content, different calls to action, but by repeating the same core message, it will help simplify your workload because you're not creating content over and over again. Your audience might actually take the action that you want them to take, and it's clear. It's what you want them to know. It's not all over the place. Okay, but the one thing I want you to remember is to create this action, you need to be consistent. And for those of you who, I know that I am new to this group, but my favorite thing to say is to be consistent, you need a plan. Okay? To be consistent, you need a plan. And you have to plan for that consistency. So creating those core messages takes up a lot of the guesswork. All right, so this slide is a recap slide of everything we just discussed. So number 1, you got to write an impact statement that immediately identifies the problem you're trying to solve. Number 2, set fewer goals with shorter timeframes, and you will accomplish more. Create your core messages that align with those goals. All right, so this slide says it's called a boundary. Now, there's something here that's very, very important, because you've been intentional about setting those goals. You've got your goals. And then this makes saying no so much easier. Now, putting it out there, how many of you are excellent at saying no? And how many of you say yes all the time? Got to switch those legs again. My guess is that we got some 2s and 3s in here. Got a lot of people who want to make other people happy, so you say yes a lot. But if something comes across your desk and it does not align with your goals and those goals that you have set for the next 90 days, then say no. This is called a boundary. And these are important. You don't have to say no forever, but a no, not right now. This doesn't align with our priorities. That is great. It is super important. Denise, I love this. Looks like we've got some good no's in here. Okay. Yeah, it's hard to say no, and sometimes you want to make it happen, but if you have set these goals, then it just makes the answer so much easier to say. And if on the other side, if you have so much going on and you do all these different things, then it's also hard to say no, because they're like, well, but you did this. Okay, so what I said go, but not yet. That's what the slide says. Okay, there are a few more things I want you to know about these steps, but first, I want to know which one of those activities resonated most with you. So if you can put that in the chat, which one, the impact statement, the core messages, the setting goals, which one resonated most with you? All right, so core messages. Actually, it's setting boundaries. Awesome, Christy. Impact statement, but core messages is a close second. I love it. See, I told you I'd blow your mind, and it's very, very simple things that you can implement right away. Love it. Okay, so these exercises are usually only available in the Productive Executive Director, the membership that I mentioned earlier, and they're actually way better because I've got templates and we go into way more detail. But here's the thing that I want you to know. When I was an ED, I wish that somebody would just say, hey, here's your roadmap. There wasn't one. Never found that. But being an executive director is hard. I know this, you know this, but being an executive director of a small shop with no resources, a roadmap, or community, and a community of people who get what it's like to do something that's almost impossible. Now, that's a tough job. Now, I really hope that you are thinking differently about some of the things that I shared, but happy to have some Q&A, but I also know what it's like to watch webinar after webinar until you want to scream into your pillow because, there's just no actual solving your problem. So I'm offering you me as a resource. Connect with me. I know what that is like. I know cobbling together bits and pieces of information, and I know that you have speakers come in, and sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not, sometimes you aren't able to actually implement anything. So my guess is that you're probably feeling some energy and you're feeling good. You're excited about what we talked about, but that fades over time, and you're not going to be able to keep up that pace without some support. So lean on each other. Lean on each other in this group to stay focused on your core messages. And if you're interested in learning about the productive ED, just shoot me a message. I'd love to share it with you. It's not opening till springtime, so you got some time. This slide is back to a photo of Rachel in a banana suit. Now, as any coach would do, I'd say, all right, get your questions lined up so you can start taking action. There's no hurdles in your way. And this slide is back to me sharing my Instagram account. So if you want to follow me, I'd love that. But let's open this up for Q&A. And I know that I went way over my time. So let's dig in if there's any questions. I'm gonna stop sharing. Any questions? Man. Looks like everyone went back to multitasking.
No. Some people have gone though. Have they gone, Wendy? Yeah, we're down to 9.
Yeah, just a few people wrote in the chat that they were sorry, but they had another meeting they had to scoot to.
I get that. Small shops, you're always on the go. All right.
It's not just small. I think we also have another affinity group called the new Executive Director Affinity Group. It's also sometimes taking on for the first time. I know when I started, some of you, what you're saying would have resonated more than it does now. And I feel like a lot of the times what happens to executive directors who are trying to run small orgs and have a lot on their plate is an attempt perhaps by board members to ask that the executive director change when you've been invited to make change in an organization. And then there's resistance, staff, etc. It's like the executive director is the problem, is the one that needs to fix things or needs to fix themselves. And in fact, there's a context that's been ignored when so much sits on the executive director's shoulders. So this has been great, Rachel, for changing that lens.
Good. Well, take each piece that makes sense to you. And the big idea, the big fundamental thing here is reduce doing all the things, get really, really laser focused on what you're doing. And your productivity is going to skyrocket because you are so clear on what you're doing and how you are moving forward. So, yeah. Okay. Well, I loved getting to know you. Loved being able to be here. Happy December. Good luck in your year-end fundraising. And yeah, keep doing the good work that you're doing. So.
Thank you very much. If people want to stay on for a few minutes, that would be great. I saw Karen say thank you, and then, oh, she's right there. Good. People are still here. Thank you so much, Rachel, for your time. It's okay.
Thank you,
that
Rachel.
You went over. The whole package was worth waiting for and worth hearing all of your tips and tricks and strategies. So thank you so much, and I'm really glad we got that that we have it on recording so we can turn back to it later on.
Okay, have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.